Good morning, Facebook family. This is Ellery, and today I am here with Andy Crouch, who just came out with an amazing new book called The TechWise Family. So we're so excited to have you on the show. Tell us a little bit about what inspired you to write this book now, because it seems like it's something you've been implementing in your family for a while.
Yes, right. So our son is 20 years old. Mm-hmm. We've got a 17-year-old and a 20-year-old. So the reason I'm writing it now is the kids are old enough that we realize we didn't totally mess them up by making actually pretty radical different choices about technology. Mm-hmm. And the other reason I'm writing it now is there's just a hunger for help in how to use technology well, whether we're parents, kids, not necessarily having kids, but just trying to live as kind of faithful people in a world that has lots of distraction and lots of ways to miss out on real life. And I think that's the danger of technology.
One of my favorite things that you wrote about was the fact that you all kind of fast from technology, not just one day a week, but 1 hour every day.
Yeah.
And I thought that was brilliant because that's pretty doable.
Yes. It is doable, although you'd be amazed how tempting it is, like to shave off that hour and make it half an hour or 15 minutes. Because these devices, they reward us in all these ways, right? They give us little nuggets of affirmation, of significance, of interaction. And that's okay in its place, but we want an hour a day where we don't depend on any of our devices. Actually, not just the screens. For us, it's the dinner time. And we actually usually turn off the electric lights. That's technology too, by the way.
Okay.
And light some candles, and you have a totally different kind of meal and conversation with other people by candlelight than you do with the lights on. So turn it all off.
Brilliant.
1 hour a day, 1 day a week, and then 1 week a year too.
Tell me about that. 1 week a year is a really long time. What's that like?
So one thing about this whole principle, which I think is the biblical Sabbath principle, is it's not just about taking things away. It's about adding things into our life that we want to be part of our life. So that week a year for us, we often go to Maine as a family on vacation. We're filling those days with cooking food that we don't have time to make during the regular year, hiking, biking, getting outside, reading. We bring boxes of books and games. So we're filling our lives with other things, not just taking away devices.
Yeah.
So that's what makes it actually, so the first couple of days you kind of go through detox. Withdrawal, absolutely. And then after that you're like, oh, there's all these other things I love to do. And there are these people that I love, have a complicated relationship with, maybe it's brother, sister, or husband or wife, but we actually learn to love each other again doing these things together.
That's so good. One question I have is, how do you think technology, and in social media specifically, has changed our relationship or our perspective of God?
So the interesting thing about God is he doesn't beep.
Yeah.
or ding or buzz. I almost feel like Elijah went Elijah the prophet, right after that confrontation with the prophets of Baal.
Yes.
He goes to this place and there's all this noise, earthquake, wind, fire, and it says God wasn't in that fire. God was in this, what's often translated, still small voice. Or another translation is a voice of perfect stillness. And the problem with all of our devices is they're so good at getting our attention. And God, for some reason, wants us to actually offer him our attention rather than just kind of interrupting us for our attention. So all these distractions prevent us from just becoming silent and still long enough that we could actually realize God wants a relationship with us and wants to speak to us. So that distraction, that constant ramping up of attention and what it takes to get our attention is preventing us from actually learning to offer our attention to God and actually to other people in a way. Because other people also don't ding in the same way that my phone does.
Right.
And if even having this conversation, if I had my phone on and a notification came in, I'd be tempted to turn away from you, a real human being, and pay attention to my phone. Instead of realizing the person that I'm with is the one who deserves my full attention.
Yeah, it does become kind of like habitual, though, to always just look at it. It's very addictive. It's very addictive.
It's designed to be rewarding. And they're giving you just enough rewards. It's all done by algorithm now. Instagram will only give you enough notifications that will keep you looking.
It's brilliant.
They're programming you.
It's brilliant. All right, my last question is, what is one of your favorite books? What would be a recommendation of what to read?
Oh, wow. You know, I might say two, and one's a good, quick read. Well, it's yeah, and the other's like a huge, dense book.
Okay.
The one that I recommend to everybody is an old book by Eugene Peterson, who became famous for this translation or interpretation of the Bible called The Message. Yeah. But years before he did that, he wrote a book called A Long Obedience in the Same Direction. Ooh. And it's basically about what a whole life of discipleship is about. I read it when I was 18 years old. It shaped the whole rest of my life. I hope it'll shape all of my life. My favorite book ever is a novel called A Soldier of the Great War by Mark Halperin. It's a kind of magical realism novel, not written by a Christian, by the way, by a Jewish writer. Hard to say where he is on faith in God, but it's all about where can we find God in the most cataclysmic events of history, like World War I, which is what it's about. So that's a great novel, but Eugene Peterson is a great little guide to how to live a full life of discipleship with God.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for the recommendations and for being on the show. Make sure that you check out his amazing book, and it's really hard to put down. And it's better than your phone.
Even if your phone is dinging.
I didn't even look at my phone when I was reading it, so it worked. Thank you.